I think that the Team Natural community originally in your mind was supposed to be about empowerment, but somewhere along the line misinformation got packed, branded, and distributed.
Let's talk about shedding. This might look like a lot of hair to some people, but I will preface that this was how much hair came out after I detangled after protective style.
It was sold to Black women around the world, leading to so many different forms of scalp inflammation and more. In most of these cases, it results in permanent hair loss, and the majority of women that were following these practices.
I am back! What it do, baby?
How to stop thinning and shedding. These are always things that everyone is searching here on YouTube. But what if I told you that the key isn't to use a different product or a different hairstyle, but to stop some of the things that you are doing now? One big piece of really big, huge misinformation is what shedding looks like. The majority of you that detangle your hair think that the equivalent to 50 to 100 strands is like puddles and puddles and puddles of hair, but that's not true. And in this video, I want us to talk about this. Obviously, the woman who was just in that video, she said that all of that shedding that she had in her hand was from her taking a protective style out, yet and still she would never have lost that much hair if the detangling process was not done on wet hair. But we're gonna unpack these things and so many others, so let's get into it.
Let's talk about shedding. This might look like a lot of hair to some people, but I will preface that this was how much hair came out after I detangled after protective style. Naturally, we lose about 100 strands of hair a day. And for people with curly hair, it might be even more depending on how often you wash your hair. Shedding should not be confused with breakage or unhealthy hair. When you're detangling your hair, be sure to let the conditioner sit in your hair for a little bit and add water so it can emulsify again before you start detangling. When detangling, make sure that you start at the bottoms of your hair.
Now, I understand that most people get really confused whenever you hear certain things like, for example, when we're shedding, you lose 50 to 100 strands of hair per day. So then naturally you think, oh, if my hair has been in braids, then this must be 1,000 strands. So this is what 1,000 strands look like. But I really need y'all to understand the difference. The reason that you never detangle your hair when it's wet is because your hair is already tangled. So look at that illustration as it already being super tangled and in knots, and the hair that has already shed is in between your tangles. So you detangle your hair when it's dry, and then once your hair is properly detangled, then you're able to comb your hair and comb through with conditioner and all of the things. So this is a lot of hair, and there would be half of that much hair if your hair was properly maintained before you ever put any type of conditioner or anything in the hair. Think about it. Think about the times when you went swimming or something, right? And let's say you decided to like get in the water and have braids in your hair, and then once you got home, you decided, okay, I'm going to take these braids out. But then while your hair was still wet, you took those braids out and then proceeded to shampoo your hair. Well, most likely your hair was a matted, tangled mess, because that's not the proper way to do your hair. It's not. The first thing you do is detangle your hair dry. This is the only time where I'm thinking about oil of any way, shape, or form. This is the stage where, of course, right now her hair is being shampooed, but prior to this, detangling your hair with oil in the hair salon, this is where you get certain scalp treatments if you have some type of bacterial infection that needs to be treated with a specific specific ailment, then this is when you would do it. Oils are carriers, right? So this is where you would have some type of oil from your dermatologist or maybe a holistic practitioner that knows the specific formulation of an extract to cure a certain type of infection you have in your scalp. This is when it would happen. You would detangle with oil, and most likely that oil also carried whatever is going to cure that infection that you have in your scalp, right? And then after you sit under the dryer and allow that carrier to kill the yeast or bacteria overgrowth, whatever that ailment is, then it's shampooed out with an intense clarifying and detoxifying shampoo. So these are the patterns that are followed. And then at that point, when we get to the stage of conditioner, that is where all of the conditioner is used in your hair. That is when you get the brushes and start combing through your hair with products and things of that nature in it. Because there is a difference between combing and detangling. To detangle is to remove tangles and knots and matting from the hair. You only do that on dry hair, because if you do it on wet hair, your hair gets thinner and thinner and thinner over time. Now, initially it's satisfying for you guys, right? You have knots in your hair and then you put all this product in your hair and then the knots come out. But the truth of the matter is you're not getting slip. All that's happening is your hair is so weak because it's wet that it's breaking. So all of the hair that is now in the brush should still be in your head, but it's not. It's in the comb and it's in that big knot. Your hair should never be like that. As I'm combing through my client's hair right now, I am not getting rid of knots and tangles. She has high porosity hair, so her cuticles are lifted, so her hair is sticking to each other. But if you look at my comb, if you're watching on your phone, you can zoom in with your fingers. You can see there's no hair in my comb, almost none. So these are the things that I need you to think about. I need you to know that all of that hair coming out in your comb when you detangle is not normal. It's not. And even if you're taking down braids, if you've had a protective style in for a couple of months and then you take that protective style down, you should not have globs and globs and globs of hair in your hand. You shouldn't. Not a glob that big. Will it be a whole lot? Yes, but I need you guys to see the difference between what 100 strands look like, what 1,000 strands look like, and what like almost 100,000 strands look like, or what 10,000 strands look like. And what you guys think is 100 to 55 strands, or what you guys think is about 1,000 strands of hair after you've had a protective style in for about a month, that's not it. You guys are holding like 10,000 strands of hair in your hand talking about, well, we lose 55 to 100 a day. So I need us to think about these things, right? Because the majority of the people that you're learning from also believe the same narrative that you believe. And these are the things that you really have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, like, are these things really truly serving me? And again, if you look at the illustrations, you can clearly see that. But let's talk about the difference in shedding. Some people may notice that their hair is longer, right? The hair that they're shedding are longer pieces of hair, whereas some people are noticing that the pieces of hair that they're shedding are a lot shorter. Well, you may be either within anogen effluvium, or you could be at the beginning stages of anogen effluvium. And what is that? The anogen phase of the hair growth cycle is the phase of the hair growth cycle where your hair is growing, right? So your shedding is happening when the anogen phase is over, and the anogen phase is normally about 7 years, right? right? But if you are dealing with some form of inflammation, or if you have anything going on within the body, it will cut the anagen phase shorter. So instead of those hair follicles growing and getting super duper long, or getting longer as long as they would get in 7 years, your hair growth cycle is maybe like every 30 days. And so all of the pieces that are falling out are really short because your anagen phase is shorter. Why is that? Most of the reason is basically because of your patterns. It could either be from your internal patterns, things that you're putting within the body, which we're going to talk about in a second, because your calorie intake is directly connected to your hair growth, but we'll talk about that in a second. For the most part, a lot of it comes from the different the things that you guys do mechanically. A lot of you don't understand that you can cut the anagen phase short just by detangling your hair wrong. How? If you're constantly yanking and pulling and tugging on your hair, you have all of that hair in the comb that you think is shed hair, you've caused stress to the follicle, which then sends your hair follicle into the telogen phase, which is the resting phase. But if your follicle gets pushed to the telogen phase, that means that it got pushed out of anagen, out and into the catagen phase, which is the phase where your hair detaches itself from the blood supply. Then it rests, then it falls out to start the anagen phase over with a brand new string of hair. So once you get it in the telogen phase, it's already disconnected from the blood supply, right? So it is your job to then look at all of these different things. Look at your patterns and your routines, and also look at what you're putting in the body, because across social media you guys think that all of the fruits and vegetables go on the scalp, but the majority of the stuff y'all put on the scalp hasn't seen the inside of your body since you was in middle school when your mama made you eat your vegetables. These are the things that I want you to think about. Before I hop into that with your calorie count and how it's connected to your hair growth cycle, I want you to notice that the first couple shampoos that we didn't necessarily lather. Why? When you are using professional shampoos, the first couple shampoos are to break up different fatty deposits and all of the product buildup. Is breaking everything down those first couple shampoos. That's why I always tell everybody to shampoo your hair about 4 times, because those first 2 times will be breaking things up, right? Off the scalp, off the hair shaft, and then those final 2 times will be like your serious cleansing, and then your conditioner, right? So let's hop into your calories and how they're connected to your follicles. Hair growth really requires energy, calories. So if you're not eating enough, especially over time, your body will prioritize essential functions like your heart and your brain and things like that, and even slow or even kind of pause your hair growth altogether. Because if we're really talking about it, if the body's focused on what it truly needs, girl, if you bald head, ain't nothing gonna happen. So how do calories affect hair? Number one, if you have low calorie intake equals less energy for non-essential systems. So for that, you will also see hair thinning and shedding. Next up, you will have a severe calorie restriction, right? Like extreme dieting or fasting. This can lead to telogen effluvium, which is a case where a lot of your hair shifts into the shedding phase. And lastly, could be the lack of nutrition. Usually comes from low calorie diets like protein, iron, biotin, zinc are all critical for healthy hair. So most of the time your calories are directly connected to your hair growth, and everybody looks completely over that because you think that your hair growth or the health of your hair or the health of your scalp is in a bottle, where the first place you need to start is in the kitchen. the first place you need to start. So if you're not eating enough overall, skipping key nutrients or food groups, or overtraining without fueling properly, your hair might start showing the stress. And that stress is going to look like shedding and thinning and so many different things. So you always want to make sure that your body is able to get everything that it needs, because if it doesn't, it will show up in your hair, it will show up in your skin, it will show up in all of these things. And if you don't have the proper diet, because instead of you eating fruits and vegetables, you're putting them in your hair and sleeping with them in your hair overnight, then you won't have the proper things that your body needs. Now, in this case, she is getting a deep conditioning treatment, right? And the deep conditioning treatment that she is getting is coming because she's normally one of the girls that gets protective styles all the time. And because she gets protective styles all the time, it does end up weakening her hair shaft. And this day in particular, we were doing a haircut. But before I gave her a haircut, I wanted to make sure her hair was extremely healthy so I could save as much hair as I could. And when I say save, it wasn't like it had to be cut, but I didn't want to cut it in the first place. So if I made it look super healthy, she would want to cut it. It didn't work. I still ended up cutting it in the bob. It was super healthy, but I didn't change her mind. But as you can see, at this point now, I am going ahead and rubbing this product in. Now, all conditioners should not be rubbed into the scalp. There are certain conditioners that are formulated with non-comedogenic products that are there to treat different scalp disorders. And like I said, she wore protective styles a lot, so she was starting to thin around the crown. So, and she was at the beginning stages of CCCA, so I was going ahead and giving her the type of scalp treatment that is going to break up those different things. And then the treatment that I told you that she got at the beginning that had certain key constituents in it, it was not an oil treatment, it was one with extracts, right? Extracts are made either with alcohol or glycerin. Hers was glycerin based, and the formulation was one to kill yeast and bacteria that lives within the scalp. If you guys want me to do a full video on that, then let me know and I will do so. But again, I want you to zoom in on my comb, like it's right there. You guys, I have not taken a whole bunch of hair out of my comb and threw it in the garbage. No ma'am. You should not have globs of hair on your comb when you finish. You should not. It doesn't work that way. So most of you don't realize it, but your hair and your curls will look freaking beautiful. But then when you straighten your hair, it's completely see-through and you have to cut it all off, and nobody understands why. Well, two things that I want you to look at is the way that you detangle your hair. Because if you're doing it wet, you're doing it wrong. And I don't care what anybody says. When your hair is wet, the bonds are broken. So I have a question for you. Are your legs stronger when all of your bones are intact? Or will you be able to run faster if your leg is broken? So do you run faster with or without a broken leg? And I'm pretty sure the answer to that question for you is that you run faster without a broken leg. So if you run faster without a broken leg, then why do you guys believe that your hair is healthier or less prone to breakage while you're detangling it with a broken bond? It doesn't make sense. It can't be that way for one thing but not the same for the other. It doesn't make any sense. If you break your arm or your hand or something, you're going to have a cast on it until the bone comes back together. So I need you guys to think about these things, because making slight and subtle changes like that is more than enough, right? So I really hope that this makes sense. Make sure you check below to see my playlist, because within my playlist I go even deeper into things. I know we have a whole lot of new people here, and so if you're new and you're like, oh my god, I'm confused, I don't know where to start, oh my god, go see my playlist, look through them, and if after you watch all the videos on my channel you still can't figure nothing out, girl, all you have to do is check out my courses, right? You can sign up for the 7-day challenge or the growth cycle blueprint and you'll be in there. I love you guys so much. Everything is so simplistic, and the more you allow things to be complicated, the more you try to add different fruits and vegetables to your hair, the more you pack your scalp full of oils and butters and greases, the more complicated your hair care regimen is going to be. I love you guys so much, and my intention is never to offend anybody ever, but a lot of times the truth hurts, and if you've been walking around preaching a lie or believing a lie for a really long time, to be exposed doesn't feel good, but it's okay, because whether you like it or not, in 2025 and beyond, the truth is on Front Street, and it's a very clear separation. Just try it out, right? Try the way you already see. The way that you've been doing things isn't working, because if putting oils and things of that nature on your scalp all the time truly worked, then once you used it for a couple of days, maybe you would never have to do it again. But if you don't use it, your hair is dry. However, the women who switch over and do things my way, after they make this change and after their body resets back into its normal pattern, they don't need anything. They end up throwing all of their oils away, or selling them, or giving them away. So let's see.
Oh, now you mad? Edges and witness protection? But I'm the villain, cause I said stop marinating your scalp in Crisco. Cool, let's get into it. She was on YouTube daily running them hacks. Rice, water, onion juice, leaving ball tracks. TikTok said castor oil make it grow. Now the mites in her scalp throwing a disco. Coconut dripping, she thought it was lit, till her pores said, sis, we can't breathe in this. Every hack she tried, they clapped and dipped. Now she in the group chat with a lace front fix. You dragged me when I tried to tell ya, said I'm too harsh, too much like a fella. But now your hairline playing hide and seek. Girl, your scalp said bye, now your roots look weak. Now you wanna listen, huh? Fungus got you itching, huh? Inflammation hit you like a truck. Edges screaming out we had enough. Demodex in your crown, throwing a rave. Malassezia eating good, free buffet. Oleic acid burning through like bleach. But you clapped back when I tried to teach. Don't put nothing sharp on your dome, I said, but you went and greased it like cornbread. Arguing with pros on every post. Now you sitting in the mirror trying to diagnose. Scalp looking flaky, hair looking dusty. You called me bitter, now your curls looking crusty. 6 months to 25 years, that's the math. Hair weathering creeping up like a ghost from the past. Now you wanna listen, huh? That DIY mission flopping, huh? It flopped. Inflammation got you texting pros. Scalp screaming, girl, that's a no. Look, ain't no hate, I just educate. But next time someone says don't put coconut oil on your scalp, maybe, just maybe, don't drag them in the comments while your follicles drag you out the game.